Here is the narrative content for your YouTube video script. Have you ever felt completely broken? Like the ground beneath you just gave way, leaving you with nothing but trembling hands and a heart heavy with betrayal? Imagine sitting in a cold, sterile courthouse, the very place meant for justice, and realizing that your entire future and that of your child is being sold for a pittance. That's where Sarah found herself just a short while ago, her divorce papers feeling like the rough edge of her shattered life. She wasn't just losing a husband. She was losing everything. 12 years of marriage, sacrificed dreams, working double shifts to put him through law school, all for a proposed settlement of a mere $50 a week in child support. $50 for her daughter. While he, Robert, sat across the hallway, laughing, completely oblivious to the depth of his cruelty, flanked by his smirking lawyer and the woman who used to be Sarah's best friend. The same woman who had shared meals at Sarah's table, played with her daughter, all while secretly dismantling her home and her heart. This isn't just a story about a bad divorce. It's a chilling illustration of financial abuse, where one partner systematically strips the other of resources, confidence, and options, ensuring they are utterly dependent. We see this insidious pattern far too often. It's not always about overt theft. Sometimes it's the slow, deliberate erosion of self-worth and financial autonomy. Robert knew Sarah had no money for a good lawyer. He knew her public defender was tired, disengaged, and likely overwhelmed. He knew she was trapped, desperate, with nowhere to go. Their house, their car, everything they'd built together would go to him, leaving Sarah with nothing but the clothes on her back and a 7-year-old child to feed. The weight of that injustice, the feeling of utter powerlessness, is something many of us can unfortunately relate to, even if our circumstances aren't as dramatic. It's the fear of being disposable, of being rendered invisible after giving your all. But sometimes, when you're at your absolute lowest, when the world seems to have conspired against you, a different kind of justice, a different kind of power, emerges from the most unexpected places. Sarah was about to learn that her story was far from over. The silence in that courthouse hallway, punctuated only by Sarah's internal despair, was abruptly shattered, not by an argument or a judge's gavel, but by the distant rumble of powerful engines. Luxury cars, expensive cars. Heads began to turn, conversations dwindled, and a collective curiosity filled the air. Then, through the glass doors, a sight that would change everything. A long black limousine, followed by 2 more sleek vehicles, pulled up to the curb. Out stepped men in sharp suits, exuding an aura of undeniable authority. But it was the woman who emerged from the limo who truly commanded attention. Tall, elegant, adorned in a coat that likely cost more than Sarah earned in a year, with perfectly styled silver hair and jewelry that sparkled like captured starlight. She walked with purpose, her heels clicking a rhythmic countdown to Sarah's new reality. Robert, the smug lawyer, visibly stiffened. His mistress, Lisa, clutched his arm, whispering urgently. The confidence drained from them, replaced by a palpable unease. This woman, Eleanor Thompson, carried herself like royalty, and the entire room felt it. Eleanor walked directly to Sarah, her eyes kind but sharp, the kind of eyes that had witnessed life's harshest blows and emerged stronger. "Sarah Williams?" she asked, her voice resonating with an authority that left no room for doubt. Sarah, utterly stunned, could only nod. And then came the words that irrevocably altered the course of Sarah's life. "My name is Eleanor Thompson. I represent the Thompson Foundation. We need to talk." Robert, now pale and stammering, tried to interject. "I'm sorry, who are you?" Eleanor didn't even acknowledge him. Her focus remained solely on Sarah. "Mrs. Williams, you have some very important decisions to make today. Decisions that will change everything." This moment wasn't just a plot twist. It was a profound shift in power dynamics, a testament to the fact that you never truly know what's waiting around the corner. It highlights the often invisible forces that can be at play in our lives, the hidden legacies, the quiet architects of our destiny. Emma, Sarah's daughter, tugged at her dress, asking, "Mommy, who is the pretty lady?" Sarah whispered she didn't know, but a spark of something long dormant began to flicker within her. Hope. Real hope. Eleanor then dropped the bombshell, revealing Sarah's connection to Clara Thompson, a grandmother Sarah remembered as kind, vanilla-scented, and undeniably poor. "Your grandmother, Clara Thompson, was a very special woman," Eleanor stated. "She left specific instructions about what should happen if you ever found yourself in a situation like this." Sarah's world tilted on its axis. Her family had always been poor. What money? What foundation? Eleanor, armed with meticulous details, confirmed Sarah's lineage, proving she wasn't mistaken. "Your grandmother was a very wealthy woman, Sarah. She built an empire through real estate and investments, but she kept it quiet. She wanted to make sure her family never knew about the money unless they truly needed it. She was waiting to see if her descendants would make their own way in the world first." The silence in the courthouse became absolute, a communal holding of breath as everyone absorbed this incredible revelation. Robert, still in disbelief, scoffed. "That's impossible. Sarah's family has no money. I know them. They're nobody." Eleanor's gaze, turning to Robert for the first time, was chilling, a silent rebuke that could freeze fire. "Mr. Williams, I suggest you stay quiet. This conversation doesn't concern you anymore." Imagine that moment. The man who had dismissed you as nobody, the man who had planned to leave you with nothing, suddenly rendered irrelevant, silenced by a force he couldn't comprehend. It wasn't just a personal triumph. It was a cosmic rebalancing. "I'm saying that you are the sole heir to the Thompson estate worth approximately $47 million, Eleanor stated, correcting the earlier number and raising the stakes dramatically. "Your grandmother left very specific instructions. If any of her descendants ever faced divorce due to adultery, they were to receive their full inheritance immediately, along with the resources of our legal team." The air in the courtroom felt impossibly heavy. Sarah could hear Emma's soft breathing, and Robert's mistress, Lisa, whispering a stunned, "Oh my God, $47 million. Eleanor continued, "Your grandmother, Clara, was betrayed by her first husband. She swore that no woman in her family would ever have to face that kind of humiliation without the power to fight back." Sarah looked at Robert. His face had gone from white to green. The confident smirk, the arrogant dismissal, vanished, replaced by sheer panic. Lisa recoiled from him as if he were contagious. This wasn't a joke. It was real, undeniable. Eleanor presented the official documents, bank statements, property deeds, stock certificates, all in Clara's name, all now Sarah's. Properties in cities Sarah had only dreamed of visiting, investments in companies she recognized, numbers that were simply impossible to fathom. Clara Thompson's legacy was not just money, it was a strategically crafted safeguard, a testament to her belief in empowering women who had faced similar betrayals. It was a philosophy that said, "You will not suffer alone, nor will you suffer without the means to fight back." The shift in power was almost instantaneous. Robert, who moments earlier had been ready to cast Sarah aside, now stammered, "Sarah, honey, maybe we should talk about this. Maybe we don't need to rush into this divorce. Maybe we can work things out." The hypocrisy was staggering, and Sarah, for the first time in months, truly saw him. She saw the greed, the calculation, a man who had never loved her, only what she could do for him. "You want to work things out now?" Sarah's voice, once trembling, now held a new strength. Then, another devastating blow to Robert. Eleanor revealed their investigation into his professional life. "Mrs. Williams, you should know that our investigation shows your husband has been stealing from his law firm's clients. The evidence will be turned over to the authorities within the hour." Robert's face went completely white. Lisa, his supposed soulmate, grabbed her purse and ran, abandoning him without a second glance. Sarah watched her go, feeling not anger, but a profound sense of relief. The mask had fallen, and she finally saw these people for who they truly were. This moment underscores a crucial life lesson. Genuine support and loyalty are often revealed not in times of ease, but when the chips are down, and especially when power dynamics shift. When you have nothing, you see who truly cares. When you gain everything, you see who only cares about what you have. Eleanor handed Sarah her direct number. "You don't have to make any decisions today, but you should know that your grandmother's lawyers are the best in the country. They're waiting for your call." The very people who had looked at Sarah with pity just minutes ago now stared with a mix of respect, fear, and curiosity. Robert, once the dominant figure, now appeared smaller, deflated, like a balloon losing air. "Sarah, please," he pleaded. "Don't let money change who you are. Don't let them turn you against your family." "Family?" The word felt hollow, almost laughable. This man, who had stolen from clients, cheated with her best friend, and planned to leave her homeless with their daughter for $50 a week, now dared to invoke the sanctity of family. "Emma," Sarah said, looking at her daughter, her voice now firm and resolute, "would you like to go for a ride in that big car outside?" Emma's eyes lit up. "The pretty car? Really?" "Really," Eleanor confirmed. "The car has juice boxes and coloring books." As they walked away, Robert's pleas and empty promises faded into the background. For the first time in years, Sarah wasn't listening to him. Inside the opulent limo, Emma gasped with delight, immediately finding the coloring books. Eleanor turned to Sarah, a gentle smile on her face. "Mrs. Williams, your real life is about to begin." Through the tinted windows, Sarah saw Robert, a frantic, desperate figure on the courthouse steps, consumed by a rapidly crumbling world. But Sarah wasn't thinking about him anymore. She was thinking about Emma's future, about college funds and safe neighborhoods and opportunities she had never dreamed of providing. She felt something she hadn't felt in 12 years of marriage: power. And the realization settled deep within her. The revenge was going to be sweet, but more profoundly, this was about justice and a new beginning. 3 days later, Sarah found herself in an office that symbolized the pinnacle of success, the top floor of a downtown skyscraper, a breathtaking panorama of the city below. The Thompson Foundation's lawyers were explaining the incredible tapestry of Clara Thompson's life. Mr. Harrison, the lead attorney, an elderly man with kind eyes who had clearly known Clara personally, spoke of her with reverence. "Clara Thompson was one of the smartest women I ever met. She started with nothing, just like you, Sarah, but she had a gift for seeing opportunities where others saw problems." The conference room walls were a silent testament to Clara's genius. Photographs of a young black woman in the 1950s standing proudly before dilapidated buildings she would later transform into valuable properties. Pictures of her shaking hands with business leaders and politicians, awards and recognitions that her own family had never known existed. "Your grandmother bought her first property in 1958 for $800," Mr. Harrison explained, "a burned-out building that everyone said was worthless. But Clara saw that the neighborhood was going to grow. She was right. That building is now worth $12 million. Sarah stared at a photo of her young grandmother, determined and fearless, a stark contrast to the quiet woman she remembered from childhood visits. "Why didn't our family know?" Sarah asked, her voice thick with emotion. "My mother struggled her whole life. We all did." Eleanor leaned forward, explaining Clara's profound philosophy. Clara made a difficult choice. She watched as other wealthy families destroyed their children with money. She saw generations of people who never learned to work, never learned to value themselves, never learned to be strong. She decided her descendants would prove themselves first. Prove themselves how? By showing they could survive hardship with dignity. By showing they could love their children more than they loved comfort. By showing they wouldn't give up when life got hard. This reveals a powerful lesson about true wealth and legacy. It's not just about accumulating money. It's about cultivating character, resilience, and purpose. Clara's decision, though seemingly harsh, was a profound act of love, designed to protect her family from the very pitfalls that often accompany inherited riches. It was about ensuring that when the wealth did arrive, it landed in hands capable of wielding it responsibly. Mr. Harrison unveiled another layer of Clara's foresight. "Your grandmother had investigators watching her family, but not in a bad way. She wanted to know when someone truly needed help." Sarah learned that her mother's anonymous cancer treatments years ago, the mysterious payments, had all been Clara's doing. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, understanding the quiet, distant protection her grandmother had offered. "Clara was protecting your family from a distance," Eleanor clarified, "but she was also waiting for the right moment to step in completely. And your divorce was that moment, not just the divorce, the betrayal." The echoes of Clara's own past betrayal, being left by her first husband when pregnant, fueled her fierce determination. She swore no woman in her family would ever be powerless again. Sarah finally understood the depth of her grandmother's convictions, recognizing the parallel to her own situation with Robert and Lisa. "So what happens now?" Sarah asked, the weight of a $77 million empire beginning to settle on her. Mr. Harrison spread documents across the table, outlining the liquid assets, property, and businesses. But Eleanor interjected, "But there are conditions. Your grandmother was very specific." Sarah's heart sank, but the conditions were not what she expected. "The money comes with responsibilities," Mr. Harrison explained. "First, you must use some of it to help other women in situations like yours. The Thompson Foundation supports women escaping bad marriages, women starting businesses, women going back to school." This wasn't a burden. It was an honor, aligning perfectly with Sarah's burgeoning sense of justice. "Second, you cannot give any money to your ex-husband or anyone who betrayed you. Clara was very clear about this. People who show their true character don't get second chances." Sarah almost laughed. She had no intention of giving Robert anything. "Third, you must be smart about how you use your power. Your grandmother built this fortune by being clever, not by being cruel. She believed in winning through intelligence, not through causing unnecessary pain." Then, a final, deeply personal message. Clara's letter, written 20 years ago, as if she knew exactly what Sarah would face. Sarah read it aloud, her voice catching with emotion. "My dear granddaughter, if you are reading this, then someone has broken your heart and tried to break your spirit. I am sorry you had to go through that pain, but I am not sorry it led you here. You come from a line of strong women. We have survived slavery, segregation, and every kind of hardship this world could throw at us. But more than surviving, we have learned to thrive. The money I am leaving you is not just money. It is power. It is freedom. It is the ability to stand up straight and look anyone in the eye as an equal. Use this power wisely. And remember that the best revenge is not hurting people who hurt you. The best revenge is becoming so successful that their opinions stop mattering." This powerful message is the cornerstone of Clara's legacy and the Thompson Foundation's mission. It's not about revenge, but about redemption, transforming pain into purpose, using personal triumph to create collective good. It's about demonstrating that true strength lies in building, not destroying. Sarah admitted to feeling scared, but Eleanor's response was insightful. "Good. Scared means you'll be careful. Scared means you'll think before you act. Your grandmother was scared too when she started, but she did it anyway." As Sarah looked out at the city, she realized her focus had shifted. Not on Robert's inevitable downfall, but on Emma's future, on the women the foundation could help, on the businesses she could invest in. And when she asked about Robert's investigation, Mr. Harrison's serious expression confirmed his fate. Evidence of client fraud, tax evasion, and several other illegal activities. Will he go to prison? Probably, but that's not your concern anymore. That's just consequences catching up with bad choices. Sarah felt lighter, a years-long wait finally gone. This transformation from personal devastation to purposeful action is a journey many of us seek. It's about reclaiming your narrative and wielding your newfound strength for a greater good. The days following Sarah's inheritance were a whirlwind, but a purposeful one. 2 weeks after signing the inheritance papers, Sarah found herself in her new penthouse apartment, watching Emma play with toys they could never have afforded before. The apartment was elegant, comfortable, a testament to Clara's philosophy that true wealth was about security and options, not flashy display. Eleanor had guided her, emphasizing living well but living smart. Sarah was quickly learning a fundamental truth. Money isn't just about buying things. It's about having choices. It's the ability to say no to people who don't respect you, the freedom to make thoughtful decisions instead of desperate ones. This is a crucial insight often missed in narratives about wealth. It's the leverage and autonomy that truly matter. Her first strategic choice was to hire Marcus Webb, a former police detective, now a thorough and discreet private investigator, recommended by Eleanor. What Marcus uncovered about Robert was worse than Sarah expected. "He's been stealing from clients for 3 years," Marcus revealed. "Not just skimming, but taking settlement money from accident victims, life savings from elderly people." He showed Sarah photographs of Robert's victims, an old woman who trusted him with her late husband's insurance money, a young father injured at work. People who had less than Sarah once did, from whom Robert stole without conscience. And Lisa? She knew about the stealing. We have recordings of her encouraging him to take more money so they could afford a bigger house together. She's not an innocent victim in this. She's a co-conspirator. Bank statements proved Lisa had received expensive gifts, jewelry, vacations, a car, all bought with stolen money. She wasn't just aware, she was a willing beneficiary. "What happens next?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the nausea rising in her throat. "The district attorney has enough evidence to prosecute. Robert will be arrested within the week. Lisa will probably be charged as an accessory." But there was more. Robert, in his desperate delusion, had already hired a lawyer to challenge the divorce settlement, claiming he deserved half of Sarah's inheritance. Anger, sharp and clean, surged through Sarah. But it was a different kind of anger now, an anger with power behind it. Can he succeed? No. Your grandmother's lawyers were too smart for that. But he can make your life difficult for a while, unless, Marcus smiled, we make his life too difficult for him to bother you. This was the strategic pivot. Clara Thompson's approach wasn't about petty revenge. It was about mutual assured destruction, with her holding all the cards. The goal was to make the cost of bothering Sarah so high that Robert wouldn't dare. This echoes a classic strategy in conflict resolution: change the incentives. Sarah met with Eleanor and Mr. Harrison. Her grandmother had faced a similar situation. Clara's brilliant solution? She bought the building where her ex-husband's law office was located. Then his home. Then the company holding his car loan and credit cards. She owned everything in his life, not to hurt him, but to control the situation. When he realized she could make his life very difficult, he stopped. Clara held all the cards, Mr. Harrison emphasized. The strategy for Robert was clear. "We want you to make sure justice happens," Eleanor corrected. "Your grandmother always said the difference between revenge and justice is that justice helps other people too." Robert's victims deserved their money back. Society deserved protection from him. What about Lisa? She showed you who she really was when she thought you had nothing to offer. Clara's wisdom. Some doors need to be closed, permanently. That evening, tucking Emma into bed, Sarah faced the inevitable question. "Mommy, are we rich now?" Sarah explained, "We're comfortable now. We don't have to worry about money anymore." Emma then asked, "Is that why Daddy keeps calling?" Sarah's heart clenched. She'd tried to shield Emma, but children notice everything. "Emma, sometimes people make bad choices, and those choices have consequences. Daddy made some bad choices, like when he chose Lisa instead of us." Emma's innocent directness broke Sarah's heart. "Yes, baby, like that." This is a poignant reminder of the unseen impact of adult choices on children. Protecting them doesn't mean hiding the truth entirely, but carefully framing it in a way they can process, emphasizing accountability without fostering bitterness. After Emma slept, Sarah answered Robert's desperate call. "Sarah, thank God, we need to talk." "No, we don't," he pleaded, promising a rich family, a new beginning. Sarah delivered the crushing truth. "Robert, you're about to be arrested for stealing from your clients. I know about all the affairs. I know about Lisa helping you steal money. I know about the elderly woman whose nest egg you spent on jewelry for your girlfriends." Silence. "And you know what the funny thing is, Robert? If you had just been a decent husband, you would have been rich beyond your dreams. But you couldn't wait. You couldn't be faithful. You couldn't be honest." Robert's frantic attempts to fix it were met with Sarah's calm resolve. "It's not too late for you to face the consequences of your choices. It's not too late for your victims to get their money back. It's not too late for me to make sure you never hurt anyone else the way you hurt me." Sarah hung up and blocked his number. The next morning, Marcus Webb confirmed Robert's arrest. Lisa was arrested too, attempting to flee to Mexico. Sarah felt a strange mix of relief and gravity. Justice wasn't a triumphant feeling, but a necessary one. "This wasn't about feeling good," Eleanor explained. "This was about making sure Robert couldn't hurt anyone else." Sarah's next move was a deeply personal one. She revisited Mel's Diner, her old workplace, a place that symbolized her past struggles. Betty, the owner, greeted her warmly. "Actually, things worked out better than I expected," Sarah said, and then made an offer. She wanted to invest in the diner, renovate it, expand it, but keep Betty as manager. This place was good to me when I needed it. I want to make it even better. This act was more than an investment. It was an act of gratitude and community building. It showed Sarah was not just taking, but giving back to the roots that had sustained her. It's a powerful lesson in how success can be leveraged to uplift rather than merely consume. Next, Sarah met with Mrs. Maxwell, the elderly woman Robert had stolen from. Sarah, identifying herself as Robert's ex-wife, explained that Mrs. Maxwell would get all her money back, with interest, and received a check for her medical bills. She offered free legal help from the Thompson Foundation. Mrs. Maxwell, bewildered, asked, "Why are you doing this?" Sarah's answer echoed Clara's wisdom. "Because someone once told me that the best revenge isn't hurting people who hurt you. The best revenge is becoming so successful that you can help the people they hurt." This is the very essence of true empowerment and positive change. It transforms a personal tragedy into a catalyst for widespread good, building a legacy that heals rather than harms. Emma, hearing about her father's arrest, again articulated the painful truth. "Kids at school are saying things about Daddy. They're saying he's a bad person. They're saying he stole money." Sarah, ever careful, explained Robert's bad choices, emphasizing that they didn't reflect on Emma. Daddy made his own choices, and now he has to face the consequences of those choices, but his choices don't affect us anymore. Emma's simple, heartfelt response, "I'm glad we don't live with him anymore. I like our new home." And Sarah's new reality, "I don't cry about Daddy anymore. Now I'm focused on making sure we have a good life together." This careful navigation of truth with a child is a complex art. It's about honesty without bitterness, accountability without undue burden, and reinforcing the child's security and value above all else. Then came another unexpected call. Lisa, out on bail, trying to manipulate Sarah, blaming Robert, begging for help. "I was scared, Sarah. I was desperate." But Sarah, armed with knowledge of Lisa's attempted flight to Mexico and her complicity in the theft, saw through the facade. "Lisa, I know you were planning to flee to Mexico. I know you spent stolen money on jewelry and vacations. I know you encouraged Robert to steal more so you could have a bigger house." As Lisa's desperate plea for friendship, for forgiveness, for help with her prison sentence was met with unwavering resolve. "You already lost everything that mattered when you chose to betray the people who loved you." Sarah, empowered and clear-eyed, shut that door permanently. The subsequent newspaper article, "From Betrayal to Billions, Local Woman Inherits Fortune, Uses It for Justice," publicly reclaimed Sarah's narrative. Robert's furious counter-press conference, ranting about being framed, only served to highlight his desperation and instability. As Judge Martinez observed, "Every word he says makes him look more unstable and makes you look more sympathetic." This strategic use of media, coupled with Robert's self-destructive behavior, is a masterclass in narrative control. When faced with an abuser trying to manipulate public perception, the most powerful tool is often the truth, presented clearly and consistently. Even Robert's mother, Patricia, reached out, expressing shame and offering to contribute to Emma's college fund. Sarah, though touched, redirected the generosity to the Thompson Foundation. "You could help other children whose fathers have let them down." It was a moment of grace, demonstrating that not everyone in Robert's orbit was complicit. Some, when confronted with the truth, chose to do better. However, Robert's desperation escalated. He attempted to contact Sarah and Emma directly, leading to an emergency restraining order. This was the final straw. "It's time to make sure Robert understands that his old life is never coming back," Sarah declared to Eleanor. "I want to remove that hope completely." Eleanor, seeing Clara's strategic mind in Sarah, smiled. "Now you're thinking like Clara." Sarah's next moves were meticulously orchestrated, becoming her in-laws' landlord, without evicting them, but ensuring Robert knew his actions had consequences, blacklisting Robert within the legal community, becoming his primary creditor for all his debts, so all future payments would go to his victims, and permanently associating his name with his crimes online. "You're not just defeating him," Marcus observed. "You're erasing him." Sarah corrected, "I'm making sure he can never hurt anyone the way he hurt me." This comprehensive approach to justice isn't just about punitive measures. It's about systemic prevention. It's about dismantling an abuser's capacity to cause future harm by strategically limiting their power, their influence, and their opportunities. This is Clara's legacy, fully realized. The strategy worked. Robert's blog posts became increasingly unhinged, his rants more elaborate. He was beginning to understand. More importantly, the Thompson Foundation's reach was expanding nationally, helping women from 3 states who had heard about their work. "Let's build something big enough to help every woman who needs it," Sarah declared. The web around Robert tightened, but Sarah was building something that would outlast any individual case of justice. Robert's trial ended with a unanimous guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison, Lisa to 3. Sarah's victim impact statement, delivered with dignity and strength, underscored the true cost of Robert's actions. If Robert had cared about Emma's well-being, he wouldn't have planned to leave her with insufficient support, and he wouldn't have traumatized her by destroying our family for an affair. As she left the stand, she looked at Robert one last time, seeing not the man she married, but a stranger. Outside the courthouse, Sarah, poised and articulate, declared, "Justice was served today. I hope this case sends a message that people in positions of trust cannot betray that trust without facing serious consequences." When asked if she had sympathy for her ex-husband, Sarah offered a profound distinction. "I have sympathy for the man I thought I married, but that man never really existed. I have no sympathy for the man who stole from elderly people and accident victims to fund his affairs and his lifestyle." This distinction is critical for healing and moving forward, grieving the ideal, not holding on to the destructive reality. Emma, now 9, understood. "Mommy, is Daddy really going to prison for 8 years?" "Yes, sweetheart." "Will he be different when he gets out?" Sarah's honest answer, "I don't know, Emma. People can change if they want to, but they have to want to change." And when Emma quietly stated, "I don't think I want to see him," Sarah reassured her, "That's perfectly okay, Emma. You don't owe Daddy anything. Your job is to be a kid and to be happy and to grow up healthy and strong." This delicate conversation about boundaries, accountability, and self-protection is a powerful lesson for parents navigating similar situations. It teaches children that they are not responsible for their parents' choices and that their emotional well-being comes first. 2 weeks after sentencing, Robert's final letter arrived. Shorter, defeated, it confessed his understanding. "I finally understand what I did. Not just the crimes, but the betrayal. I understand that I threw away a good woman and a beautiful daughter for things that didn't matter." It was the closest thing to a genuine apology, but it didn't change anything. Some trust couldn't be rebuilt. Some doors needed to stay closed. Sarah felt pity, not for the man who was suffering, but for the man who had lost himself in self-delusion. 1 year after Robert's sentencing, Sarah stood before 1,000 women at a national conference. "A year and a half ago," she began, "I thought my life was over. I felt powerless, worthless, and completely alone." But now she was telling a story of resilience. The journey from powerlessness to purpose. Our darkest moments are actually doorways to our greatest strengths. She spoke of Clara's philosophy. Our pain could become our purpose. The Thompson Foundation had helped over 200 women. Kesha, now running her second convenience store. Betty, whose diner thrived as a community hub. Mrs. Maxwell, funding scholarships. These were not just statistics, they were living proof of Clara's vision. The Clara Thompson Institute for Women's Economic Empowerment was launched, offering comprehensive education, training, childcare, and job placement. It was staffed by women who had been clients, turning their survival into a force for change. Emma, now 10, was writing a school report about her mom. "My mom was married to a bad man, but my mom is smart and strong, and she learned how to help other women. I want to be like my mom when I grow up." This is the true legacy. Not just the money, but the ripple effect of empowerment, the intergenerational impact of strength and compassion. It's the ultimate vindication that outshines any personal revenge. Years later, Robert's early release from prison became a mere footnote in Sarah's life. His attempts to contact her and Emma, to blame others, to portray himself as a reformed victim, were met with the unwavering wall of Sarah's boundaries and the vigilance of her security. He found a job at a fast food restaurant, a stark contrast to his former life. His blog, Second Chances, chronicling his journey, barely garnered 50 readers. He still didn't get it, Eleanor observed. He still saw himself as a victim. But Sarah had stopped thinking about him. Her focus was on the Clara Thompson Institute, now thriving, enrolling women like Keisha and Carmen, building new lives. On the Institute's first anniversary, Sarah spoke of transformation. You are proof that it's never too late to start over, never too late to build the life you want, and never too late to become the person you're meant to be. A journalist's follow-up article, From Victim to Victor, cemented Sarah's narrative, showcasing the movement she had built. Robert's final letter arrived. This time, it was different. I know I destroyed everything good in my life, and I know it's too late to fix any of it. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand what I did. Not just the crimes, but the betrayal. He was genuinely sorry, free of self-pity, but it didn't change anything. Some actions couldn't be undone. Some trust couldn't be rebuilt. Some doors needed to stay closed forever. Yet for the first time, Sarah felt genuinely sorry for Robert, not for his suffering, but for the profound loss of character that had led him there. Over dinner, Emma, now 13, announced her college plans. I want to study law and business. I want to help women like you help women. Eleanor smiled. Emma, your grandmother Clara would be so proud of you. And Sarah, I think you've raised a daughter who will be even more effective than you are at changing the world. 3 years ago, Sarah was powerless. Tonight, she walked with her confident daughter and her mentor, all committed to making a real difference. Robert was somewhere across town, working a minimum wage job, finally understanding the magnitude of what he had lost. But his situation no longer affected Sarah's happiness. She had learned the most important lesson Clara had taught her. The best revenge isn't about bringing someone down. It's about lifting yourself and others up so high that the person who hurt you becomes irrelevant to your life. Sarah's story had become a legacy of strength, compassion, and hope. She had won, but more importantly, she had helped hundreds of other women win, too. That was the kind of victory her grandmother, Clara Thompson, would have been proud of. The new beginning wasn't just Sarah's anymore. It belonged to every woman who found the courage to leave a bad situation and build something better. And that new beginning, championed by Sarah, Emma, and the Clara Thompson Institute, would continue, one woman at a time, for generations to come.